What's going on there, guys? My name is Matt, or Chewy as most of you will know me as, and today you join me at a very cold and dreary and dark and grey Berlin Tegel. We are in the Blue Air PMDG 737-700 today. I've literally just bought the expansion package for the 700 and the 600 737 as well, and so I thought I would give it a go, and to start off with a YouTube video, another full flight video. It's been a while since I've done a 737 one, and so here we are down on the ground in the 10-year anniversary Blue Air 737 livery. We've just got the baggage coming along ready for boarding now with the passengers, and today we are off to Turin. It's only about an hour and 20-minute flight length. It's really not a very long one whatsoever, but I thought it'd be a nice, small route to introduce the 737-700 to my content, both here on YouTube and also to my Twitch channel as well. And I've not really shown off the Berlin Tegel scenery before, and I've not even shown the Turin scenery even on my stream yet. I actually flew there earlier on today, I will admit, and kind of fell in love with it, and so I thought, you know what, let's pop it onto YouTube, and then I'll show it on stream, I'm sure, sometime as well. So, right, everything is boarding. I've literally not done a single thing inside the flight deck whatsoever yet, apart from just load in the weight and open up all the doors. I've not even popped the parking brake on. I've been that lazy. So let's head to the overhead and just start to get things on there. I guess the first thing I should really do is the emergency exit lights, and we will pop the logo lights on because it's really not very nice weather out there whatsoever. And then we'll also pop the chime on, and the fasten seatbelt sign can go on as well there for now. I'm not too worried about anything else on the overhead at this stage. We've got the position lights on, and so that should be fine where it is. The only other thing that I actually need to do is go to the back of the overhead and start to align the IRSs. Whilst they are aligning, let's go to the MCP and the EFIS panels especially. We'll pop the needles up, set HPA, and then cheat, and work out what the QNH is by pressing B. And today it's 1018. Just whilst the IRS is aligned, let's very quickly drag across active sky and show you the absolutely terrible conditions at the moment. Winds are 260 at 10, so we are going to be taking off on runway 26 left, meaning we'll have a straight 10-knot headwind on departure. It's a cool 6 degrees centigrade at the second, not too bad. We've got a bit of light rain. The visibility really isn't too great whatsoever, but it's not reporting any icing or turbulence or anything, and so hopefully it shouldn't be too much of a bother, just a bit of a dreary departure overall. Right, we can head down to the FMCs now, and then I'll actually pop this one on the door page because that will need to be closed eventually, but we can go right back to the FMC here, just double checking the new AirAC data is installed because I didn't know if it had updated it, considering the fact that I've technically got a new product with the expansion, but it's all up to date, which is nice. And then we can pop in our originating airport, which today, as I said, is Berlin Tegel, or EDDT. I'm not going to try the gate because it rarely works and I can't be bothered to, fail with it. And so we'll just grab the left GPS position and center that in there, and then everything is aligned. Company route, the ICAO for Turin is LIMF, and then I think it's 01, it should be. Runway for departure, as I've already said, is runway 26 left. And then the flight number today for Blue Air, their ICAO is BMS, and the commercial number is 4020. So that can get activated and executed. The departure is incredibly simple. I'm not even going to show it on Avlasoft because it's very, very simple indeed. Our first waypoint is Brain, B-R-A-N-E, not B-R-A-I-N. And so it's the Brain to Lima departure today, which goes in there like so. Init ref, let's pop the 0 fuel weight into there like so. Cost index, I'm really not too sure what Blue Air use, so I just kind of round it off to 50 whenever I have absolutely no idea what they do use. And then reserves today, quite low, 1.5. Transition altitude out of Berlin is 5,000 feet. And we're actually going up to 390 for our flight level today. Winds at 390, I'm just having a look on my flight plan, are 302 at 59. So they can go onto there like so. Perfect. N1 limits, as usual, it's going to be a standard flaps 5 departure today, which as usual gives us a D-rated 2 takeoff and an assumed temperature of 42 degrees centigrade. Apparently the passengers are boarding and all the boarding's completed. So once I've finished my FMC, we'll head and close all the doors up and everything and get ready to go there. Takeoff, as I said, is flaps 5, which means we can pop the CG into there like so. And then if I move across here, what are the runway winds? I just looked at them. It's 260 at 10, isn't it? There is no slope. And it's actually wet at the moment. It's horrible here. Acceleration will pop at 3,000 above ground level. I'm happy with thrust reduction at 1,500. And so, yeah, that's absolutely fine. It's already got the outside air temperature selected for us. So we can pop the V-speeds in now, which are going to be very low, especially because, I mean, like, it moves it lower because of the wet runway conditions. If it was selected as dry there, I'm pretty sure those speeds would be higher. But we've got a V1 of 115, a VR of 127, and a V2 of 131. On that note, whilst we're down here now, we can close all the doors up because boarding has completed. And then we can return off that page. And I'll just leave us on there for now. Right, let's go up to the top. And I tell you what, we might as well start the APU now. Because it's not going to be long before we're ready for pushback, in all honesty. I will pop the packs on just because it is a bit chilly, I guess. So we might as well get those going. And then we'll start to get the windows heated up as well. I've said this before in a video, and I will repeat it again here. I do apologise if my flows are by no means professional and by no means, you know, are standard operating procedures for any airline whatsoever. I just do what gets me in the air quite quickly. Anybody who's watched my stream will know that, although I do like to do things relatively realistic, I'm not too worried if I've not got everything for every single airline down to a T. So, yes. Anyway, right, let's start to enter the information into the MCP now. So, I said earlier we've got a V2 of 131. The runway heading is 259er. And don't worry about that master caution, that's just telling me the APU is on and ready to go on the buses, so I'll do that in a second. 259er, and then we're not flying online once again today. I will fly on VATSIM sometime in a video, I promise. But we are off to our cruise level of 390. Flight director's on, and it's always important, of course, to start with the captain's flight director on first, because it comes up with a little green light saying MA, which means it's the master. Auto throttle, VNAV, LNAV, and then the auto brake to RTO. Lovely jubbly. Right, APU can now go onto the buses, and then we'll pop the cruising altitude up to what we said we were aiming for earlier, which is 39,000 feet, so that can go into there like so. And then we'll pop the fuel pumps on because we can get ready for pushback now. So I will call GSX. We don't want to start... No, we're not going to bother with de-icing treatment. It's really not that cold, in all honesty. We are on stand 8 today, which means I need to push back with my nose to the left. Now, it is going to tell me, unfortunately, that we can't actually start the engines until pushback has completed. Simply, again, because it's cold. But it's 6 degrees centigrade, so I'm not really too worried about icing conditions. Parking brake is set, and the APU is on, so I can get rid of all of the ground connections now without worrying about losing half of the power. And then we'll pop that page, the right-hand FMC, onto the legs page. What else can we do? Trim is 5.03, so pop that as near to 3 as possible. That should be fine. We don't have to worry about radios and squawk codes and anything like that, again, because I'm not flying on VATSIM, so that's not a problem for me. Everything else is looking okay. I don't need to do anything else as far as I remember. Obviously, I'll turn the packs off and everything for departure, but that's pretty much it. We'll pop the anti-collision light on now, which is the beacon. And so the ground crew know that we are about to move and get ourselves underway. And then we can start this baby up. Okay, apologies for having to pause the video there. The doorbell rang, so I had to go and get that, which is a shame, but there we go. Right, let's get ourselves going now. We've been told to release the parking brake, so let me just pop the engine page down there. And then we'll release the parking brake. And as it says with GSX at the top here, due to icing conditions, we can't start our engines until pushback has completed. We will get our block time, though, And so I'll just pop that onto the first officer's clock. And then we'll go with terrain on that side, airport, and traffic information as well. Even though we're flying offline, it's just kind of practice for me to always have traffic on. I'll do airport and traffic over here as well. And it does give us the range rings. So I do quite like that feature. And there we go, we're pushing back. Also, you may have noticed that there is a frame rate counter in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. If you're wondering why it's in the 25s and you've seen my specs and you know what my specs are, I'm thinking, my gosh, that's a little low, Chewy. Yes, it is a little low, but I am running everything on absolute max. And I've also just upgraded my graphic settings in the sim to ultra. They were on high before. And now they've gone up to ultra just because I want to see what the performance is like with them. On top of that, you know, I am using PMDG. We've got cloud absolutely everywhere, which will increase the VAS and lower frames. I am recording. And then on top of that, Berlin Tegel is notoriously heavy on frames and, you know, pretty badly optimized. Apparently, a lot of people think it's just because it's located near, you know, the Berlin city itself. And so therefore, there's a lot of things that get in the way and it just creates bad VAS. I don't know whether that's true or not, in all honesty. It's a nice scenery. It looks really nice, even though the performance is pretty terrible on it. But yes, so you've got a frame rate counter there, so you can kind of keep an eye on things throughout the flight and see what my performance is like. But you know, take it with a pinch of salt. Right, enough of me warbling on about that. Parking brake is set, which is my cue to get ready to start the engines. So the packs can go, oops, not on. The packs can go off. The isolation valve can go to auto. And then we'll switch over to the right ignition and we'll start the second engine up first. As always, with the 737, we're waiting for an N2 percentage of about 25% to pop in the fuel. It's not like the 7.4 or the 777 with the auto start feature and whatever, where you can just whack in the fuel as soon as you've got oil pressure. It's a bit different here. There we go, 25%. Now I'm just praying that I've got the right view. No, of course I go to the wrong view. There we go, that's the view we're looking for. GSX moving out of the way now, which is fine and dandy by me. I probably should have de-iced if we've got precipitation, in all honesty, but oh well, it's a bit late now. Okay, we've got the clearance from the ground crew, and we've also got starter cutout on number 2. I'm happy that number 2 is stabilised and we've got a good engine start, and so we'll repeat the process and start number 1 engine as well. It's not a very long taxi to 26 left. It's quite a short runway, actually, in all honesty. It's shorter than 26 right. So it shouldn't take us long to power down to the threshold of 26 left and then come back again and depart. And we'll obviously be departing off in that direction. So we'll have this whole terminal building to our left on departure. Everything's looking good for the number 1 engine as well. I don't know why, you know, airlines start number 2 and first to number 1. Some airlines do start number 1 first to number 2. There's surely got to be a reason for it, and I surely should know it, but it is, you know, it is quite common for airlines to start the number 2 engine first. I'm sure there's a reason behind it. Anyway, right, let's go to the overhead now and continue the flow on there. So the yaw damper can come on. Taxi light, runway turn-off light can come on as well. The APU can go off the buses, and we'll actually turn off the APU now. And then let's pop those onto there. I think that's the one it should be on. I'm always so bad at remembering what that should be on. I don't know why. Probe heats can come on as well now. Hydraulic pumps for the Elex can come on. What else do I need to do? Engine start switches can go to continuous, but we'll leave them like that. The packs can come back on now. The APU bleed can come off. And I think that is it on the overhead. The only other thing I need to do is select the flaps. So flaps 1, flaps 2 and flaps 5. We'll move the engine page to the upper ICAS and leave the bottom one blank, which is fine. We've got flap movement on there. I have put the taxi lights on. And so I think we are ready to go. We might as well start taxiing whilst the flaps are moving. They're actually going green now for flaps 5. So I will release the parking brake and make sure everything works. I should do a control check and everything like that, obviously, before going, but I'm lazy. Again, as I said earlier on, I don't check everything thoroughly through, which I know I should do. Right. It's going to be very interesting, actually, for me to see how differently this 7.3, you know, performs to the 73700, sorry, performs to the 800, which I'm so used to flying now. This is literally the first time I've taxied the aircraft. It'll be the first time I, you know, take off and land with it. And so it's going to be an interesting one. I don't know if it really is going to be any different. I kind of hope it is in a way, you know. It does cost money to get the expansions for these things, and I do love PMDG, so I do want the products to be good. Oh, look at that. That is screenshot worthy right there. I don't know if that's going to be the shot that goes for the thumbnail or what. Maybe we'll get, you know, a really nice shot down in Turin, but Precipit FX and everything doing its job, even though my taxiing's all over the place. The logo light's looking good, and yeah, Sim's looking nice now. I had to do a full reinstall of Orbex recently. Those of you who will have been on my stream will have noticed that. Unfortunately, for some reason, the Orbex just, I don't know what happened to it. It just destroyed itself. It's as simple as that. It was the ground textures, like the P3D default ground textures, were just peeking through it for some reason, and I have no idea why. And nothing was fixing it, you know, changing things around in my scenery library, nothing was working, so I had to do a full reinstall, which wasn't fun, but hopefully it's going to make things look nice now. The only thing that I think that I'm worried about with my sim is that I'm getting some blurries in the distance. I don't know whether we'll spot any on this trip. If you're an expert with that kind of thing and you do spot anything, you know, please let me know, because I'm always on the lookout. I want to make sure that my sim looks pretty nice, not just for my sake, but for your sake as well. My sim is shared with a lot of people. You know, I stream 5 days a week or so, if not more, and obviously I upload content here on YouTube as well. So I do want my sim to look the best, not just so it looks pretty for me, but so that it looks pretty for you guys. Right, very, very, very short taxi indeed. 26 left is literally just here, so we might as well start getting ready to rock and roll it. Weather radar can come on. Let's pop the TCAS on now as well. And then on the overhead, we can pop the strobes on here. We'll pop the landing lights on. And I'm going to turn the taxi lights off. I'm not too sure again if that's standard thing, but I will do. And then we'll start the clock on the captain's side. We're going to keep the aircraft rolling. You can see already with the weather radar going on that we've got something, well, quite a lot of weather being picked up actually, so it's really not very nice. It could be quite a turbulent departure, but I'm sure we'll be absolutely fine. Look at that. Wow. That looks rather special, if you ask me. Okay, I don't think there's anything I've forgotten on the overhead. I hope not. I don't think there's anything I've forgotten here. We've got flaps 5. TCAS is on, even though it doesn't matter because we're offline. Weather radar is on. Let's get ourselves going. So we're going to aim for 40% N1, which you can see on the upper ICAS display here. You can see that figure. And then once I'm happy that we are stable, which we are, I'll press the magic button, i.e. toga, and we'll get ourselves out of here. Thrust is set, 82% N1. There is 80 knots.
V1.
We are committed to takeoff now. There is the rotation speed, so nice and gently back on the stick. Not too fast and not too slow. There we have it. Got a positive rate of climb. Landing gear can go up. Wow, the visibility really is bad. As I said, you know, it wasn't even really me worth showing you the departure because it's so darn simple. It's basically straight ahead. There's no point in me controlling the autopilot for much longer, so we might as well whack it in now. And then I'm going to altitude intervene things just to make sure that we've got no restrictions or anything in place. I don't think there is anyway, but we might as well play it safe with that. Let's just zoom out a bit and see what the weather's like, you know, as we continue on, because this is nasty at the moment. Look at it. Wow, it continues to be nasty for a good 30 to 40 miles or so. And you can't see anything out of the window. The visibility, I'm afraid, is terrible. So there's me asking you guys to see if you spot any blurries in the distance, but we've not got the visibility to do it at the moment. 23 knot headwind at the moment, and we have got 3,000 feet as our acceleration altitude, which you'll remember I did pop into the FMC earlier on. So that's why we are maintaining this, this low speed at the moment. But when we go through 3,000, which we just have, the nose will dip down, and you can see the bug has now gone up to 230 knots. So our speed should, in theory, start to rise soon. Should being the operative word in that sentence. I'm going to turn the runway turn-off lights off now. I'm not too worried about that, but my gosh, this weather. This is disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Active Sky 16 doing a very good job, though, of impressing me and looking pretty darn nice. Okie dokie. Let's start to take up the flaps now. There's flaps 1, just as we start to rise above the clouds. What a view. Oh, sorry, that was up to flaps 2, wasn't it? I always forget there's a flap 2 and a flap 1. And then we'll take fully flaps up now. Absolutely stunning view. Horrible weather, but stunning views. I can't complain at all. Okay. Up we go. Speed's coming up nicely now. We are aiming for 250 knots. 5,000 feet is our transition. Or was it 6,000? I can't even remember what it was now. Is it in there? I've literally entirely forgotten what it is. I think it must be 6,000. Oh no, it is 5,000. There we go, because I've got the warning. Hashtag blame Chewy. Silly me. And there we have it. The sun is starting to set actually in the distance. That looks pretty darn nice if you ask me. We're through transition though. Speed's coming up nicely. It was pretty rocky on the departure, but we are safely above the clouds now and on our way to Turin. Welcome back to the flight deck, ladies and gentlemen, and what a view it is out the window. I really couldn't help just coming back in here and showing you this because it looks absolutely gorgeous. We're almost at top of climb now, just under 40 nautical miles to go before we get there, and the views are amazing. I wanted to apologize. I forgot to do the kind of after takeoff procedure things, you know, moving the landing gear to the off position, auto brake off, and everything like that, just because I was really taking in the view out of the window, in all honesty. I'm not even going to create a lie about it. It was absolutely stunning. Anyway, we are on our way to cruise. I won't show anything in the cruise in terms of me talking and stuff. I'll show you some nice, you know, time-lapse shots once again like I did on the climb. And then as usual, I'll make sure that you join me for planning the descent, which really won't be too long after we get into the cruise phase. As I said, this flight is only estimated to be about an hour and 23 minutes or so, and we're already 18 minutes into the flight. So it won't be long before I start to set things up for the descent, and of course I will show you all of that planning phase, and then we'll make our way down into Turin. So yeah, until that point, enjoy some more absolutely gorgeous views as we head down to Italy. Welcome back to the flight deck once again, ladies and gents. We are now only 126 nautical miles from top of descent. The sun is slowly setting in the distance, and so I thought now was a good opportunity to start to plan our descent down into Turin. It's absolutely horrible down there. The weather is disgusting. It's raining. It's very, very cloudy, but hey, it makes for a pretty view, so I can't complain. Right, anyway, without further ado, let's head down here. So, LIMF, the winds at the second are favouring runway 36. So we're going to do the ILS Zulu approach. And let me drag it across, actually. I'll show you Avlasoft. So I've already decided which arrival we're going to do. It's the Akas. So our final waypoint is Akasu. So it's the Akasu 1 Echo arrival, which takes us to top, which I think is... I can't remember what it is. Yeah, it's the Torino VOR. I thought it was. So yeah, it takes us directly to the Torino VOR. And then it takes us back round onto the base leg and then onto finals for ILS Zulu runway 36. So pretty simple stuff. You can see the decision altitude here and everything, which we will pop in. So let's find that now. So it's the Akasu 1 Echo arrival with top as the transition. And I will pop that into there like so. We'll do a flaps 30 arrival today. And then we'll head to the legs page first. Grab runway 36 and do some fix rings. So as usual, I'll do 4, 9 and also 15 nautical miles as well. We'll go to the descent page, go to forecast. Transition level is 6,000 feet. And the QNH down there is 1029er. Pretty cold, 7 degrees centigrade, but we should all be good anyway. There we go. So that can get popped into there, and then I can actually, I think I can pop it in there. Let me just see if I can pop 7 degrees in there. Yeah, there we go. 7 degrees and 1029er. So that can get executed into there, and that is all I think I need to do with the FMC. You can see that's just extended our top of descent point now because we've got a bit further to go on the route, but that is all good. And then we'll head to the EFIS panel here and pop in the QNH. If I just move in a bit, you may be able to see that a bit better. There we go, 1029er. And now the fun point is the barometric minimums, which is all the way up at 1188. So yes, I'm going to make you sit here and watch me scroll all the way up to 1188. It shouldn't take that long. We're almost there as it is. Right, try not to go too far past it. 1188. There we go. Perfect stuff. Cool. So everything is set in. The runway length is 3,300 meters. So we'll go with auto brake level 2. That should be more than enough. That shouldn't be too much of a problem. We are now 47 minutes into the flight, and we've got around about another 15 to 17 minutes before we hit top of descent. Everything is looking fine and dandy so far. I am just absolutely loving the view out of the window. Hopefully it will be a lovely arrival into Turin as well. So I won't show you top of descent, you know, as in me actually coming back and talking to you. The next time I'll talk to you guys is when we are on our approach. But enjoy some more music and enjoy some more views as we continue the cruise and then head our way down to Turin. Right, welcome back to the flight deck once again for the last time I say that. Now, I know I always have the same introduction when I come back, but I don't know. I'm lazy, I guess. Anyway, here we go. We are just on the downwind leg now. As you can see, passing through 8,600 feet or so. Speed's looking nice at the second. All is looking good and dandy. We will turn onto the base leg. And then actually, if we have a look at the navigation display, we have got a decel point up ahead there, so we'll use that to start to get ourselves slowed down and start to begin flaps. Then we really don't need to worry about too much else. The restriction that we've got here is by the Torino VOR or TOP. We have to be above 6,000 feet, so you can see the 6,000A there. The A stands for above. If it was 6,000B, it would be, you know, below 6,000 feet, and we should reach that constraint absolutely fine. You can see here 1.6 nautical miles to go. Here we go with a right turn onto the base leg. Let me just check. Yeah, I have put the seatbelt signs on, and I'm actually going to, I know it's quite early, but we are going to arm the localizer as well. And that has just reminded me that I've actually not put in the ILS codes. So it's 108.7. Dearie me, what an absolute terror I've completely forgotten that. And then the approach course is luckily very close. It's just 002. That was quite close. I knew I forgot to do something. I was kind of setting up for my descent, and I was like, I've got that feeling in the pit of my stomach where I've forgotten something. I completely forgot the ILS frequency and the course. Luckily, it took me 2 seconds to get hold of them because I've got the chart up and get that in there. So that wasn't a problem. Thank goodness for that. But there we go, on the base leg now. It won't be too long. I can arm the localizer once again so that can come in. Everything's looking good with altitude and everything. And we've just gone through transition level, so we can actually reset our barometric pressure now to the local QNH, which here in Torino at the minute is 1029er. It looks like it says that we're quite far above, or well about 490, 500 feet above our VNAV profile, but I'm really not too worried about that because you can see the white diamond there for the glide slopes pretty bang on, and so that's not a problem whatsoever. We do have the decel point coming up, so there we go. As soon as I say that, that comes in with the decel point, so I'm gonna bring out some spoilers and just help our speed come back, and then we'll start to think about bringing some flaps out. Visibility should be fine. We've got a low level of cloud here at about 2,500 foot. But nothing to worry about whatsoever. It's absolutely gorgeous out the window. I know I've been saying that the entire way, but I really do feel that this video has probably been the most kind of cinematic in terms of the views that we've had so far on the channel. I really do think so. Okay, speed's coming back now. 15 nautical miles to go. Let's select flaps 1 and start to think about that. I'm going to pop the engine start switches onto continuous before I forget to do something else. Localizer's coming alive now, so we're going to click the approach button as well and wait for the glide slope to intercept as well, and we can now see that the localizer has actually come alive. So everything is looking fine and dandy. You can see that because we've selected flaps 1, the speed's coming back to that flap 1 bug of around about 173 knots, which is perfect at this stage. We'll call flaps 5 at around about 9 nautical miles or so. And then when we're established on the glide slope, we can start to pop our gear down. Let's reset the heading bug back to the runway course, which we've already established is 002. And this is what I mean about the blurries. I mean, the ground textures look fine up close here, but if you look in the distance, they kind of just stop. Can you see this line where like the housing and everything just stops, and it will slowly fill itself, you know, in as we get closer to it. It's very, very weird. Very weird. Tell you what, let's go down to the flaps 5 bug now. We might as well pop that in whilst we're here. It's flaps 2 and then flaps 5. Don't really need the speed brake anymore, so can stow those. The sun is just setting, so we really have caught it at the perfect time. There we go. Speed now coming back to that flaps 5 bug, which today is around about 153 knots. We captured the glide slope now. Go around heading is go around altitude, sorry, is 4,000, so we don't have to worry about that anymore. And then just to double check it, our VREF speed today is 127, so we're going to add 5 onto that, which will give us 132 for our final V speed. But we've got plenty of time left. It's really handy having these range rings in, because then you can really get a good idea of, you know, how far away you are. And if the visibility's bad, it just gives you an extra aid, I think. 2,500 feet, that's going to be my call for gear down on flaps 15. There goes the gear. Flaps 15 selected. And we'll manually control that speed now. It can come back to the flaps 15 bug. We're not worried about traffic or anything behind us and getting down quickly. This is a very slow approach speed. You know, usually you try and keep about 160 knots until 4 DME if it's busy, but we're flying offline today, and so we can kind of just enjoy the absolutely wonderful view out of the window. And we're not too far off on the time. Our expected flight time is 1 hour and 23 minutes. We're on final approach. Not too far down to go. 6 nautical miles to go, and we're 1 hour 22. So I think that's pretty darn good, if you ask me. Okay, let's bring the speed all the way back down now to 132. And then it'll be flaps 25 and flaps 30. Look at the mist on the mountains in the distance there. This cloud with the orange sun, just, wow. It looks a tad bit special in my opinion. I know I keep saying it, but it really, really does. Okie dokie. We can arm the speed brake now, and then let's do the landing checklist. So landing gear is down, flaps are 30, we've got green lights there. Speed brake is armed, engine start switches are on continuous. Let's whack all of the lighting on, and then we are ready to land. So this could be the fun part. Let's not cock this one up, Chewie. Auto throttle can come out. Excuse me for tabbing out and the sound going there. Autopilot can go out as well. I have control of the aircraft. Wish me luck. I'm already feeling jolted around there suddenly by a bit of wind. The winds seem to be calm at the moment, so shouldn't be anything to worry about. So I can't use it as an excuse if I completely destroy this landing. Not whatsoever. Speed's rising a tiny bit, so I'll just go back on the thrust. We are a little high, but everything's fine. I've got 2 red and 2 white, and I can see that I'm drifting off very slightly to the right. And so I'm just going to use the rudders and everything to drag myself back in. My rudders are very, very, very sensitive, and so it's really difficult to try and, you know, give precise little movements and just make things nice and smooth for the virtual passengers in the back. But I'm not too worried about the flight director or anything at the moment. The Pappies are giving us 2 white, 2 red. I'm feeling stable. Speed is nice. 500 feet was just checked then, and so we are not worried at the moment. Keep that nose down now as we start to come over the runway lights. We are going to continue with this landing. So there we go, minimums. Confident that we are stable. Not worried about the Pappies now being 4 red. Everything is nice and dandy where we are. idle the thrust. Flare the aircraft. Don't float it too bad, Chewie. And we're down. Not on the centre line, unfortunately, but hey ho, I felt that was relatively smooth. Reversers are green. 70 knots. 60 knots. I didn't really need to go with full reverse or anything there, but it's fine. We can just slowly do manual braking now until we exit at the next point. I'm not too sure on the specific exit, but we will be taking a left onto Yankee afterwards. And there we have it. Safely on the ground. Look at that view in the distance. Oh my giddy arm. That looks amazing. Okay, I almost missed my turning because I'm so busy concentrating on the gorgeous view there of the mountains. Right, let's start to clean up the aircraft now. All of those can come off. We don't need the strobes anymore as well. I'll select the flaps to up. Speed brake can come up. We can stop the clock. And then TCAS as well. Weather radar can go off. Auto brake can go off as well. And there we have it. Okay, let's actually concentrate on the taxi now. Apologies, I'm going to be all over the place there because I was switching views just to try and, I don't know, be clever. In terms of stands, I'm really not too sure where Blue Air parks, so we're just going to go to gate 108, which isn't too far away, and quite an easy one to park into. I'm not too sure what company we'll take. We'll just take the first company that I find. That should do the job. APU starting up nicely. We've got the logo lights on and everything. The aircraft is cleaned up. I'll just turn the flight directors off because I don't need those anymore. And now, after being way too fast, I've of course basically stopped the aircraft because I'm going so slow. I did that on the taxi out from Berlin, and now I've done it here as well. So, yeah, hashtag blame Chewie indeed. There it is. I gave you this view when we were taxiing out to the runway, and now I'll give it as a view to you when we are taxiing in from the runway at the other end of the journey. Lovely stuff. If you're wondering about the scenery creators, of course, the links to these are on my add-on scenery spreadsheet. I've got a spreadsheet of every single scenery and mod or add-on that I've got included in my simulator, so that you guys can pick anything up that you like the look of, that you see on my stream or on my YouTube. And Berlin Tegel, as I believe I said earlier on in the video, is created by Airsoft. And then Turin here is by RF Scenery Studio, I think it is. And it's pretty nice. I mentioned again at the start that I actually flew to this scenery earlier on. I did a British Airways virtual flight from Gatwick, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to fly here and record a video to it. And I worked out that Blue Air, actually, well, they don't take a 737-700, they take a 737-500 on this route, but PMDG don't give an option for the 500, so I thought you wouldn't mind me not being so picky and going with a 700 instead. I have no idea what just happened there with the scenery. I think it turned on the night lighting. I'm going to have to go back and look at that recording to confirm that. But I think we just clicked over the time there for the night lighting to go on. So it just momentarily destroyed the scenery and then turned it back on. I have to say, the night lighting's actually pretty darn good here. Okay. Taxi light can come off now. Apologies again for my taxiing. I know it's terrible. But here is stand 108. You can see it on the ground there. And so we'll start to turn in. And I don't want to blind the ground handlers. Oh god, it's so, these things, look at it, it's just, I'm hardly moving my feet whatsoever, and it's really dragging the aircraft around. Very uncomfortable for the passengers, I'm sure. So I do apologise. It's like trying to counteract it. It just feels so slippery with these rudder pedals. I'm not exactly a fan of them, I won't lie. Too fast now. He's standing way forward. We do want to go a bit further down, so I'm just going to kind of ignore him and go down as far as I think I should. I don't really want to hit into him, but he's way further down the line. He should be back where that 108 is anyway. Okay, let's shut up for a second. Pull the parking brake. APU is on now. Let's pop it on the bleed straight away, and then we can shut down engine number 1 and engine number 2. There we go. Block time of 1 hour and 38 minutes, which I think is pretty darn good if you ask me. We've got just about now 10% N1, which means that I can turn the anti-collision light off, and we can turn the seatbelt signs off as well. We'll turn off all of the fuel pumps. I'm just going to go to the overhead view because it's so much easier to do this. All of that can come off. We'll turn the probe heats off. I'll turn those off. Packs are on. That's all fine like so. What have I just done? Have I just destroyed the aircraft? Oh, there we go. That's better. Sorry, I don't think I put it on the buses or something. I think I may have switched something off, put it on the APU generators or something without putting it onto the buses. So that may have destroyed something, but luckily it wouldn't have affected too much, I hope. Anyway, we'll request the boarding now. We'll go back outside to this view. I have no idea if the jetway works, actually. I didn't test this earlier on. It doesn't look like it does. But there we have it. We are parked and finished. We'll just do the final thing now. It's asking me to verify position just because I messed up there and accidentally didn't put things on the bleeds. But we'll pop the wheel chocks in. The ground power can go in as well. That's okay for the moment. I don't need to worry about anything else. And then we will open some doors and let these passengers out. I hope they enjoyed the view. I certainly enjoyed it as I was flying here. And there we have it, my friends, safely down on the ground, believe it or not, at Turin. Really lovely flight. I enjoyed that one. I didn't stream this evening. I just wasn't feeling energetic enough, and so I wanted to create some form of content and keep the YouTube content rolling, and hopefully keep my Twitch viewers happy as well, that they can still see some content from me even though it's not live. Thank you very much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed. If you've got any recommendations, any suggestions for me about my YouTube channel or about Twitch or anything whatsoever, as long as they're constructive, please leave them down in the comment below. It's always very much appreciated. We've got a really nice community growing, and it's a real pleasure to keep flying for you guys. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. So on that note, I will see you again in the near future. Thank you very much for watching, and happy landings.